Okay, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Feel Fabulous podcast. And we're living out on Facebook. So today, I'm actually really honoured and really excited about today because today I'm speaking with the amazing Sir Marco Robinson. So welcome, Marco. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you, Hina, and thanks for having me on your wonderful podcast.
Oh, pleasure. Absolutely delighted.
Good.
Would you like?
So,
Yeah.
so I'm Marco. I am a number one best-selling author. I've won Entrepreneur of the Year a few times now. I am a primetime TV creator and host of the Channel 4 TV show Get a House for Free, where I give homes to the homeless. I am an award-winning filmmaker of the film A Legacy of Lies, which comes onto Netflix next week. And I acted in that film as well. And now my favorite thing to do is acting and making films. But also I help people use their existing knowledge and expertise to get online and develop their own online course. I'm very busy with that right now. It's going crazy. So that's a little bit about me.
Amazing, that's great. So I've got some questions. I mean, there's got a lot gone on in your life. So
Yeah.
one of the in 2017, one of the press interviews, the title is pretty profound, and it says there was so much pain that it triggered something inside me. Would you like to tell us more about what that pain was?
Well, that was 2017 was the time I was giving houses away on the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So let me take you back to my story. It would make more sense then.
Yes,
So
please.
when I was 2 years old, my mum left my dad. He was a gambler, but he wasn't just a gambler. He was an addict. So he spent all the money that he made and all the money my mum made, and spent lots and got into debt and stuff like that. So my mum was 23 years old then. She had no choice other than to leave him. She moved to the north of England where it was very cold. It's this time of year. It was snowing, and she went to move in with her mum and her stepfather. But what I didn't know at that time was that she'd been sexually abused by her stepfather since she was 4 years old. So for her to go back there was terrifying for
Yeah.
her to do that. But I didn't know. I didn't even know until a few years ago in 2017, which I'll come back to in a minute. So her
Ah.
stepfather said, yeah. So her stepfather said on the doorstep to my grandma, "It's either me or them." And my grandma said, "You can't stay here." So my grandma sided with him. And then we went to the park. We slept in the park a few nights. We nearly died of hypothermia. We got
Oh
taken in by a
wow.
friend. Yeah, we got taken in by a friend of a friend. We spent many years, I would say about the next, I don't know, 6, 7 years, moving around a lot, sleeping in people's couches, cars, garages, parks. It was a bad time, and a lot of it I don't remember because it was traumatic. And it was just,
Yeah.
yeah, because I went through about 50 schools before I was even 10 years old. And I was the one that was getting bullied all the time. And, school for me wasn't really a place that had any meaning. I was the guy that was just looking out the window at the back of the class. I was that kind of kid.
Right.
I wouldn't engage with people because it was so traumatic at home when we had a home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then she met my stepfather when I was about 9. And he seemed a really nice guy, very affable, really generous. But he was also bipolar. And in those days, 40 years ago, we didn't know what that word was, but he was
Yeah.
basically a split personality. He was nice on the outside, but inside the house, he was violent. He used to beat my mum up and throw down the stairs, and
Oh.
there was always arguments going on of a violent nature. So I would run away from home a lot. If I did go home, I would just go under the bed and cry myself to sleep. That was my childhood, really, in a nutshell. It wasn't pleasant at all. And when I was 15, she left him, thank God, and she met someone
Yeah.
she's still with now that really worked out for her. I'm very happy for that. But I didn't want to stay with my stepdad, so I moved out. I didn't have anywhere to go. I got 4 jobs. I worked my ass off, and I did the same thing. I moved around in people's couches, parks, whatever I could sleep on.
How old
And
were you at that age? Sorry.
15, I was
Sorry to
15.
interfere. 15, yeah.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I didn't have any exam results, qualifications, nothing. Did not interest me. A part of me thought that I was not good enough to go to university. Part of me thought that I was stupid. I was thick. I was bullied a lot, so I felt really insignificant. My only focus really was surviving. It wasn't. I didn't have any aspirations in life. And then one day, I worked in retail. I made a little bit of progress, worked in retail. And then a guy offered me a job in direct sales, selling timeshare in the 80s, which was then
Right.
popular. And of course, what I wanted to do, I wanted to escape that town. So anything that came up, I wanted to just leave. So I left and I went to work in that job. And I was literally the worst salesperson the company ever had. I didn't sell anything for like 6 weeks. And the bosses were going to fire me.
Yeah.
And I lived 5 miles away from the office and I had to walk every day because I had no friends. So, and my internal narrative was, why am I such a fucking loser? Why is it never working out for me? Why? And, you know, the answer was, well, maybe you should go back to your hometown and become a cleaner for the rest of your life. And that was going through my head a lot. But also, what was also there was I didn't want to go to that place again because there was so much pain associated with that. The pain was just unbearable. I couldn't do that pain anymore. I had enough of it. So the pain kept me away. And then one day internally, I decided that I've had enough of this. So I changed the question in my head to, how can I be successful? And I kept asking it and asking it and asking it. And at that time, I was a dancer. I used to dance part-time. Not many people know that, but I actually won the Disco Dance Championship in the UK in 1989.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I used to go to Pineapple Studios and all sorts. So because I was a dancer, that really got me out of a lot of psychological darkness, because the physiological stuff I was doing was helping me become in a better mood. So I changed my narrative to, how can I be successful? And then one day I went to the office 2 days later, and the top salesperson came up to me and said, Marco, I know you don't really talk to me because you think I'm better than you, but I used to be like you. I was the worst ever salesperson. I got fired from everywhere. And then something changed for me, and now I'm the top salesperson. And he said, I want to help you because I was like you. And I said, no freaking way you were like. I said, listen, I was like you. So, of course, I had nothing to lose. I said, right, what I'm going to do, he said, I'm going to give you a book. I want you to go home and read the book until you get the message. So I went home. I read the book 8 times.
Right.
Didn't go to sleep. I ran to the office and I was soaking wet in sweat. And they sent me home to get changed. Came back to the office. And my first prospects that I had, the first customers I had, were both blind. He was blind and she was blind, and they had a guide dog. And I'm thinking to myself, how the fuck am I going to sell them timeshare when they can't even see me, let alone the timeshare? But because I'd had an internal shift, I said to them, I said, listen, you're going to sit there for 5 hours, you're going to love it, and you're going to spend £10,000. You're going to give me a credit card after, and you're going to give me a big hug. Because I believed it.
Wow.
And they said, no, we're not. We want to leave right now. So there was a battle for 6 hours. And at the end of that, he leant over, gave me his credit card, said, listen, Marco, you were right. I absolutely love this. I want to buy it.
Wow.
Put it on the credit card now.
What book was it that you read, by the way?
Sorry, say that again.
Sorry to interrupt you. What book were you given to read?
Well, what I will say before that is to frame the book. It was the book that I needed to read at the time.
Okay. Right.
It was like a psychological book about belief.
Right.
It was called Bring Out the Magic in Your Mind. Brilliant book.
Right.
And then I said to him, why did you buy from me? And he said, well, because you just transferred your belief to us and we believed it. And that was the first success I had, apart from my dancing. That was the first huge success I had in my life. And that was a pivotal moment for me, because I learned that if you want to do anything in life, you've got to believe in yourself and you've got to believe in what you're doing.
Yes.
So after that happened, to cut a long story short, I became salesperson of the month, salesperson of the year. I broke the world sales record in the industry.
Wow.
I got offered jobs literally all over the world. And I got offered a great job in Malaysia in 1997 to run a public company in the same industry that wasn't doing too well. And I turned it into $1 billion company in a few years from nothing, really.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I remember I had 10,000 staff. It was crazy, right?
Wow.
And then when I was 31, about 3 years later, I had a heart attack and I collapsed in the office.
Oh.
And the reason I did that is because I was literally a workaholic.
Okay.
So it kind of accumulated. And I survived that. But I had to change my lifestyle. And I also discovered after that my wife was having an affair with my best friend,
Oh, gosh.
which was more painful than the heart
Oh,
attack because I had known them, both of them, for, I don't know, I'd known both of them for 10 years. So it was like a double betrayal. And that really hurt. Yeah.
wow.
So this is at the same time. And as I'm going through this, I had a lot of money. I had millions in the bank. But then I lost all my money on the stock market because I was stupid, greedy. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So those three things happened to me in 2000.
Oh, 2000. So what age were we talking now? How old were you?
32 then.
Right. Okay.
So I decided then, my next pivotal moment was, I don't want a boss anymore. I don't want anyone to dictate to me my destiny, my future. So I decided to quit the job, became a default entrepreneur. And what I did is I got little gigs, like I became a consultant. I traveled around the world and did seminars for people, which turned into motivational seminars for thousands of people.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And then I started a few businesses, which I won the award for Entrepreneur of the Year for. I started a business where I supplied vacation incentives. I'd actually get free hotel rooms, package them into a voucher, and sell them to a company so they could give it away as an incentive, like buy a phone, get a free holiday.
Okay? Wow. Okay.
So I made a lot of money doing that. And then I got into property, did well with that. And then I opened my own restaurant. And then in 2017, Channel 4 TV asked me if I'd like to have my own TV show because they heard about my story and give a house away on TV to address the social housing issue, because it's difficult to buy a house now as a first-time buyer. The deposit's crazy. It's like 50 grand.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I'd love to do that. So I did the TV show and I gave 3 houses away on that TV show.
Oh, you gave 3 away?
Yeah, I gave 3 away. Paid the mortgage
off.
I
didn't know. Oh my gosh.
Changed their lives completely. And on the last day of filming, so now we come back to the question you asked me. On the last day of filming, I was going to give the last house away. And I was feeling, there was no COVID then before we get into this. I was feeling very funny. My nose was running, my eyes were running, and I couldn't really, it's difficult for me to speak. And I said to the production, said, listen, we're going to have to delay it because I can't speak. And I noticed there was there was a woman walking around in the garden that I'd not seen before. And I said to the TV crew, who is that? And they said, well, that's the psychologist. I said, what? No, they said the psychologist here to counsel the person you're going to give the house to because they won't be able to cope with it. Oh. And I said, really? They said, yeah. And then this psychologist came up to me and said, Marco, you don't have flu. You're having an emotional reaction to an unresolved childhood issue.
Wow. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. And I said, no shit. She said, yes, shit. So it's the first time really that I got to the level where it was like going back 40 years. And I went into that house and gave the house away and I cried for a week.
Oh, wow.
And it was the best therapy I ever had because I was able to give something away to someone that I didn't have.
Yeah. Wow. I have got my tissues here actually, but I'm doing okay so far.
Yeah.
That's just so amazing. Oh my gosh, it's one of the most graceful things I think I've ever heard of. And that's why when I heard a bit of your story on Clubhouse, I was just like, oh my gosh, I think I contacted you immediately because it really touched me. And I just thought that it's just such a humbling thing to do because you've obviously, you've gone through it, you've been successful, you might have lost a bit of it, you've been successful again, and then you're in a position to help others. And I don't think there's anything greater than that.
No, there isn't, because I was just on a Clubhouse chat before and there was thousands of people on it. And it was all about, I've done this and I've done that. And I went on there and told my story. And then hundreds of people messaged me saying, listen, that was the best thing I've ever heard because you've given me the courage to tell my story. I said, well, yeah, because all that is just bullshit, Yeah. People are interested in you, in your story, why you do what you do. And people are searching for meaning. They're not searching for money. They're searching for meaning. Like when they get up, what the fuck am I getting up for today? Why am I doing this? What is my journey for? What is the reason I'm doing all these things? What's next for me? So my life has meaning now. I found my meaning. I found my meaning at like 47 years old. Okay. Most people never find the meaning. They think that
Yeah.
being successful is what it's all about. It's not, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. It does. I just think it, especially being male, to open up and be really open and honest about and show your vulnerability to people. I think it's really encouraging for other people who may be going through similar things or know of other people who are going through similar things. I know for myself, it took me a while. Like you said, some people never find their, I call it that missing link in their jigsaw puzzle. And I only 2 years ago found mine. And that's when things dramatically changed for me. Things were going really well, for about the last 9 years, but it was 2 years ago when I found that missing link,
So
and then
what
I
happened?
started really. So my story is basically abusive marriage, and then I fell ill, raising 2 kids, single-handed, self-supported, no support financially at all, and just really built myself up from there. But how it affected me psychologically, I wasn't ready to ask for help. And that's one of the things I talk about a lot, is that please ask for help. That's why I try and share my story, because it wasn't, being from an Asian family, Indian family as well. It wasn't so easy to be so open about what I'd gone through. It's just like, okay, even though I wasn't the victim of the divorce, once I had the courage to actually ask for that divorce, it was still my fault. It's just like crazy. So for me, definitely, and I feel amazing after 2 years. And now that's why my mission is so strong, and my Feel Fabulous mission, because it took me a very long time to feel fabulous. I mean, when I say feel fabulous, obviously we have our rubbish days, but I mean overall, in your general state of mind, it's just it's my mission to help people. I'm still working, sorry, excuse me, on other bits of my businesses, which will come. But I know inside I'm feeling much happier, content, and fulfilled. And that's going to put me in a position now to be able to help others. So I just think
you're doing now, because
amazing.
I guess you wouldn't be doing this without going through that experience, right?
Exactly. But I just think it's great hearing people's stories. It's encouraging people. And if somebody, normally these type of things, you don't get an awful lot of response or public response. You get private messages. You'll probably find this yourself. They won't say anything in front of anybody. You'll get a private message.
They won't say anything publicly. You're right.
No. Yeah. And it's often my posts, and they have the least likes, but I'll get tons of private messages to say, thank you so much. Inspiration, you've helped me. And you give me a bit of courage. If you can give somebody that tiny bit of courage, then hey, that's just amazing, isn't it? But your story gets even more amazing because you were knighted. Could you tell us about that and how that happened? So that's just wow.
Well, what happened was I was in Malaysia at the time, and a friend of mine said to me that there were 350,000 blind people in Malaysia that were not allowed to take a guide dog into public places.
Okay.
Now, Malaysia is a Muslim country, so they have a stigma towards dogs.
Oh, yes. Okay. Right. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So basically, 350,000 people were trapped in the homes, and they couldn't get a guide dog because they were getting blocked and stuff like that from coming into the country. So I thought, what the fuck is that happening for? And, in my life, I love to take action if it makes a huge difference. It's got to be a big thing for me. I do a lot of small things, but for me, if I'm going to spend my time and invest it, I know that I can make a big difference. So this guy said, what can we do? I said, well, why don't we make a film? And we call the film "Are You Blind?"
Wow.
So we brought a guide dog from China that cost us 15 grand. The guide dog was already trained, and guide dogs are very clever animals. They can hold the bladder for 6 hours, by the way.
Oh.
Right, they're very clever. So we filmed a blind man and the dog getting onto a train, a bus, getting into public transport, and going into shopping centres. And everywhere they went, they were refused entry. So we went to all the shopping malls. They were all refused. So we kept going back into the shopping malls. We kept getting further and further in. And then it got to a point where there were armed police that took us into the general manager's office. And we were filming it, but they didn't know that. So you say, yes, it's against the law. You cannot bring a dog. No. Right. So all this was on camera. So we made the film. It was basically a 15-minute short film. And we put it on Facebook and YouTube. It got 15 million hits in a week.
Wow.
Right? Incredible. And suddenly I got a phone call from someone I wasn't expecting, and they said on the phone, "Listen, it's the royal household here. This is the king's personal assistant of Malaysia."
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, "No, no way. This is a joke," kind of thing, right? They said, "No, this is true," and they verified it, sent me an email and stuff. And they said, "Listen, the king would like to see you because
Oh,
you've kind of embarrassed the country."
oh my
And I
gosh.
thought I was in deep shit, basically, right?
You're going to jail.
Yeah. So anyway, I went to see the king, and I was in a private room, and they said, "Listen, we've got a decision here, Mr. Robinson. We can either make you disappear, or we can give you a knighthood." And I said, "I'd rather you give me the knighthood." And we started laughing. He was a very nice
Oh
person,
my
very nice, very
gosh.
nice. And they said they had no idea that the trouble the blind people were having and how amazing guide dogs were. And they opened the guide dogs to come into the country, and they telephoned all the shopping malls and made it law that they can take the guide dogs in. And every single shopping mall manager called me to apologise and said,
Wow.
"Let them in now." That's an amazing story, right?
My hairs are going up, literally.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's, oh my gosh, it just gets even to change. You've changed so many people's lives.
Yeah.
That's it. That's brave. And just, I'm a little bit speechless actually with that. That's just blown me away. That's totally amazing. So that all happened in, which year did this happen? 2020?
That was in 2020.
No,
That was
sorry.
about I'd say 2016. Yeah.
Right. So do we call you Sir Marco, or do we call
don't
you?
call me that. Just call me Marco.
Oh gosh. So what do you've been through so much. So could we talk a little bit about mental health and self-care? How did you
Sure.
actually deal with all this? Because I know it took me ages, and with therapy, I have spiritual mentors. Pauline, if she's listening, my shout out to her. She's actually been my rock, but other therapy as well. So how did you get through this? Because it's not easy.
Well, luckily that TV show helped me transform my mental health.
Right.
Every darkness that I've been through, I've always ended up talking to people about it and sharing. And the thing is, it takes the utmost courage to actually share and be vulnerable, especially for a guy.
Yeah. Yes.
Not being sexist here, but for a guy, because we're like testosterone and success,
It's true.
and seen as this big standing up kind of person, right? And
Yeah.
it's difficult to do that a lot because actually that's not who we are. That's not who we are. And I'm a mental health advocate for a lot of people, but there's a fine line, because I can be a mental health advocate to a degree, but then if I'm giving the right advice and helping them and they don't follow that advice, and then they keep whining and moaning about why their life's shit, then I have to say, "Listen, I can't really help you anymore," because at the end of the day, it's down to you to get off of your arse and start doing shit yourself, because there was no one there to help me as a child or as a teenager or as an adult. I didn't go to therapy. I thought therapy was beneath me at one point. Now I think therapy is an amazing thing and everyone should do it. I think everyone should have a therapist, by the way. That's definitely true, right? But what I did was I just dug deep and I realized, you know what? I've got a choice. I can either finish my life, and I've been suicidal twice in my life, or I can get off my arse and realize that, anything's better than being dead. So why don't we start again in the first day of the rest of your life?
Oh, wow. So how do you maintain it? What do you do now? Are there any practices that you do particularly? Any rituals?
Well, one of the most important things is choosing who you spend your time with.
Yeah.
You've got to be really careful about who you share with, especially who you're hanging around with, because a lot of people are fucked up. And I'm sorry to use that language, but it's in context.
Yeah.
People are fucked up inside, and what they do is they project that as a toxic attack on you, or they will defend themselves by being toxic, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to get away from that. You can't be around people like that. You've got to be around people that understand you, know who you are, and also people that would also do anything for you if the roles were reversed, because a lot of people are around you because there's an agenda there, and you've got to have that radar.
Yeah.
So listen, is this a genuine person, or do they have the potential to be a genuine person? So number one If you want something, you've got to spend time with you've got to hang around with the people that have got what you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 2, you've got to remove yourself from the people that have got what you don't want. Now, number 2 is more difficult than number 1.
Yeah.
Because some of them sometimes are your family members and your friends. And you know this because you've been through it.
Yeah.
Especially in Asian
Absolutely.
families where you're in culture to be big group, protect each other, you tell everything to your family. But you know what? Your mum and your dad and your brothers and sisters don't know what the fuck to do next for you because that's what you know, right?
Yeah.
And trust me, I've had a really bad experience with my family. When I had a lot of money, one of my family completely embezzled it and nearly I lost everything because of what he did, right?
Oh gosh.
So, and a lot of the family protected him because they also wanted my money.
Yeah.
I don't talk to those families anymore. I don't talk to anyone of that family anymore. And you know what?
Yeah.
My life's wonderful.
You know what? I'm exactly the same. I mean, I actually don't have an awful lot of family anymore. My mum and dad passed, but other than that, outside, I just do not. I don't associate. I just don't. You know what? For me to get where I am and to get my headspace in this place, I'm not having anybody. For me, my 2 sons are the most important in the world to me, and that is it.
Yeah.
And if anything toxic comes in,
hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. You are the most important person in the world to you.
Yeah.
Reframe that.
Yeah. I know. I do. Actually, I was writing something recently, and I put my 2 sons, and then I'd actually put God in front. Actually, so actually God came first, and I changed it. That's actually on my Clubhouse bio, and I've had a few people say, "Oh, I like the way you put God first." Yeah, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and that's still, you can see it's still, and I'm actually struggling.
You've still got a loop there that you need to fix.
Yeah. No, it's slight little bit. I need to let go.
I'm only saying it because I spotted it.
You have spotted it, and I can feel myself.
It's my duty to serve you because I spotted that.
Oh, yeah, an honest person actually. You know something? I had a conversation with somebody recently, and I said, I mean, I don't know you that well, but true people will actually challenge you. You know, and when they're fake friends, will just agree with you or say, yes, you look great when you absolutely don't look great, or they'll say everything's wonderful. But someone who's true will actually say, well, hold on a sec, which is exactly what you've just done, and you've made me instantly realize, hold on, even though I think it, I just spoke something different. Because like you said, there's still something going on there, which I need to obviously address. No, absolutely. I am number 1.
You are.
I am number 1.
I'll give you another story. I was married. I went back to my wife after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was the worst mistake I ever made. That was the worst mistake I ever made. I went back because of the children. I put the children first.
Yeah.
The reason I put the children first because of my dad was an asshole. I didn't want them not to have a dad.
Yeah.
But it was the worst mistake I ever made. You know why? The kids don't even remember half the stuff that I was doing with them when they were that age. And secondly, they said to me, Dad, if we'd known, we'd have asked you to go ourselves.
Yes.
And what happened was I stayed in a loveless marriage for 7 years. It was the most difficult thing I had to do. But also because she was a different mindset than me. She didn't want, whenever I took a risk, she'd say, oh, don't do that, it's too risky. So I wasn't making any money staying with her. And in 2008, the best day of my life was leaving my wife.
Oh, yes, yeah, absolutely. People say, when I say I'm divorced, they say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no. It was the best thing ever. It was the best thing ever.
I had a party for a year. I celebrated for a year. I went everywhere in the fucking world. I dated tons of girls. I'm not that kind of guy, but I needed to get out of myself.
Yeah,
I needed to
freedom.
be free. I needed to find me. And I met a wonderful girl, and we ended up having a great relationship. But I found myself again, and I made £1 million that year after I left my wife, not during.
Yeah. But that's a different entrepreneurial mindset, isn't it? It's very difficult when you're with somebody who doesn't think or work in that way.
And here's the thing, right? A lot of people think you're a failure if you don't get married. Well, fuck you. It's not. It's not, because you know what? 85% of marriages fail. It's not 1 in 2. It's 85% fail because people stay with the same person for convenience. Okay?
Yeah.
Love is an amazing thing, but the problem is that people develop differently in relationships. You have to ask permission to do this and that. I have a girlfriend, right? But I don't live with her. We have our own lives. And you know what? We get on so much better because of that. And I want to tell people on your podcast, don't freaking worry about getting married, guys. Concern yourself about always working on you. And if you meet people along the way that connect with you, that's amazing. Be grateful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's obviously going to be people out there who are listening right now who have had, who've been married for 30, 40 years and they're happy. But like you said, it's not a taboo that you have to be married. Yeah, you don't have to be married to be happy. And I can completely relate to that.
It's definitely a stigma. It's the stigma for sure. Because you are encultured, especially Asian families, that you must get married. You must. I mean, that's why they have arranged marriages, for God's sake. So yes, I think marriage is fantastic if it's right for the couple, if it's the right thing to do. But you don't have to sign a piece of paper in sacrosanct to declare that you are committed to somebody. Love is the best thing.
Absolutely, love conquers all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow, that's been really interesting, and what a deep conversation. I've absolutely loved it. But where do you go from here? What does the future hold for you?
Well, I've just released my movie Legacy of Lies, now on Netflix next week. That's a huge step, a huge deal, huge achievement for me to do that. So
fantastic! Congratulations.
Now I'm looking to make more films and getting more serious about, because when I'm acting, when I'm on a film set, that's my favorite thing to do. It's absolutely, I adore it. Yeah,
you love it. Yeah,
that's the thing for me. And I'm also working on a festival with I actually have my own charity, and we're launching we're launching the Freedom X Festival to help the people that have been excluded from government help, the entertainers, the pubs, and the restaurants.
Right.
We're launching that in the next 2 weeks. We're going to do a big concert virtually and a real concert, and we're going to raise millions and help people that have been excluded.
Wow, that's amazing. What's your charity called?
Freedom X.
It is called Freedom X. Wow, that's unbelievable. Yeah, makes so much sense. How can somebody just Google Freedom X and they'll have got a website?
It's a fully registered charity, and if you follow my Instagram, you can see all my details on there. You can follow me and see what's happening in my life. Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you. So for the people that have tuned in, how can they follow your work other than the website for the
best thing is to go to my Instagram. My Instagram is Marco Robinson Now. It's got a blue tick, so you know it's me. It's the real one. It's verified. I'm also on Twitter as a blue tick as Marco Robinson 7. But Marco Robinson Now is where I'm spending most of my time. And of course, Clubhouse is now taking up a lot of time.
I know.
You can spend hours on that thing, can't you, every day?
I know.
It's amazing.
I know.
It's an amazing thing. It is an amazing thing.
It's an amazing
platform. Because of the lockdown, everyone's got no one to talk to, so we have to go there.
Perfect. It is perfect. I like to ask everybody at the end of a podcast, how do you define feel fabulous? What does feel fabulous mean to you?
Well, that's a very easy question to ask. Feeling fabulous is doing the things you love to do every single day and getting paid for it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed today. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I hope the listeners and I hope the listeners did as well. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Obviously this is being streamed live on Facebook, also on the Feel Fabulous podcast, and it will go on the Healing Solanke YouTube channel.
Yeah, send me the recording. I'll put it on my Instagram and on IGTV.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, we'll do that for sure. So thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
And you too.